All right, so welcome back to EducateTube.com. My name is Sipsky, your host. We're now on our second part of reviewing and printing this Anycubic 3D printer. Last week I showed you the unboxing and assembling of this printer, which was, I found, because it's my first time, a bit confusing, but I got it to work. Especially the hard part was aligning the print head to the plate there, right, the base. I find that a bit hard, especially when they say they want you to do manually moving it around, and there's a lot of resistance. So I'm not sure if I did it correctly. Hopefully it is right. I'm going to start printing now, and I'll give you my overall impression of this printer. Let's get started. All right, so let's get start printing this printer. What we're going to do, take this SD card, insert it in there. You can insert it properly like this way or this way. It didn't tell me how to insert it, but let's do it this way. There we go. What we want to do is press, print. There we go. Print. Okay, so I've inserted the SD card. Next thing I want to do is print. And there is an owl pair right there. We're going to try that out and print it. And see what happens. Does it tell me how long it's going to take? No, it doesn't, does it? Okay, so currently the print temperature is 27. It has to reach 60 first before it starts. So right now it's progressing 0. See how long it will take. All right, it's at 40 degrees Celsius, and hopefully it will get started soon. Not sure why it's taking so long. I think it's because it's warming up the base plate. All right, so it started. The print bed is 61 degrees Celsius. Looks pretty good so far. Apparently, didn't say how long it's going to take, does it? Not really, huh? So far, it looks pretty good. I think I aligned the print bed properly. Seems like it's just touching the plate itself, so it looks pretty good. My concern was, when I was adjusting it, you can see a little bit of scratch here as well, here and here, as I tried to move it. Just like holding it, there was so much resistance, I thought I might break this whole thing. So far, it looks pretty good. I'll come back in 15 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 45 in an hour, all right? I'll see you soon. All right, so it's been 11 minutes and 3% has been printed already. So I think it's going to take over an hour to print this 2 owl model. So we're going to wait another, half an hour or so. But I really like it, actually. This is pretty amazing. All right, so it's been 21%, 27 minutes, almost half an hour. I can see the structure of the 2 legs of each of the owl coming pretty good. So yeah, so far so good. All right, so there's a problem already. The owl just shifted and now it's not printing. It's pretty bad now. So another problem, it's not sticking to the surface. Oh man. All right, so here we have the print job. This is the 4th and the 5th print. You can see the first owl did not do a good job, even when I put it on the solid base. I thought maybe it was because of the vibration, and I thought that would help. Well, as you can see, the 5th print still gave me a half owl, so no head here. As you can see, it didn't print well, but the second owl that was printed is great. So this is the white filament, this is the transparent filament. By the way, the transparent filament was from another company, A-Net filament. This is a 1 kilograms. I was able to put it into Anycubic 3D printer and it works really well. All right, so this is the last attempt I'm going to be printing. This is the 6th print. What I did different this time is that I put it in the basement where the temperature is quite constant. The surface, the support is very stable. In addition, I make sure I level the bed properly. So I did it again, making sure that the paper just have a bit of a resistance on 4 sides. Hopefully this will solve the problem. We'll see how it goes, but I think this should do it. once you make the bed and the print head as close as possible with some resistance between a standard paper that they gave us to level it, I think this should do it. So we'll see in about an hour and a half. I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes. See if the two owl come out as a pair, not one without a head. All right, so let's see. Okay, so let's last attempt, and I'll give you my final impression and what I think about this printer. All right, so after the sixth print, we got a perfect two owls or pair of owls, the male and the female. Awesome. After, look at this. All these work. So I was able to now got it to work properly. Okay, so here we go. It's working. So let me tell you what I did to make it print perfectly. So number one, I re-leveled the bed. So making sure that using the standard paper that they gave us to make sure that it gives some resistance, and I made sure that on the four corners it is just right. So I recalibrated the bed and making sure that it's level. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I made sure that the spool of the filaments is not entangled, because it was, I think it was my second or third print that there was entangle of the filament, and it ended up that there was not a filament going towards the print head. So that was the issue. So those two you have to make sure that this is moving, rotating properly. There's no resistance as it goes towards the print head. And you have to make sure the print bed is secured with the print head and the bed being very close to each other. Using that standard paper, you want to make sure that there's a bit of a resistance, but not too much, and that there's no gap either. So those two advice I would say definitely need to do. And that's why I was able to get, you see here, a perfect print. Right. Now, what do I think of this printer, this Anycubic Mega S? Now, other than the user error, which I did, it's pretty amazing. It took me only about 20 minutes to put together. It was only after the sixth print that I learned from my mistakes that I was able to get it to work properly. Okay, so right now I'm in my basement. The temperature is pretty constant. I put on a very stable platform here. This is a table. Previously, my first two prints, I was using a table that was shaking, and so maybe that was also another issue. Now it's on a table that's pretty sturdy, so it's able to print without too much vibration. So that's good. And on top of that, what I learned is that I could use another filament from another brand. This is actually from Annette. I use it for my 3D pen, but I was able to use it for Anycubic. So as long as it's the same diameter, which is, this one is 1.75 millimeter PLA filament, this roller cost me around $20 US or 25 Canadian dollars per kilogram. So it works perfectly. That's great to know that I know where to get the supply. There's a local store nearby, I can just get it, or I can just order it online. Whatever the case is, I will always have a filament. That doesn't have to be Anycubic. It could be any other brand name. And the one I use is Net, which is pretty affordable to get a kilogram of filament. So that's great, having that filament. It's almost like an ink that it's really cheap. You're able to use it to print out your models. Another thing I like about the Anycubic printer, the Mega S, is that they gave you extra print head. Okay, so in case like this part here, in case something happened to it, so there's an extra kit that you can, if something happened, you can repair it yourself. It's great that Anycubic was thinking ahead. Over time, this might wear out, and they give us extras. Okay, and I heard that there's a lot of forum out there that supports this device, Anycubic. So that's another great thing. I didn't have to use that yet, although I did search on the flatbed. Somebody mentioned about making sure that flatbed has to be leveled, otherwise you're going to have printing problems. So I investigate that, and surely enough, yes, it now prints pretty good. Now, in terms of quality-wise, right, I have a resin 3D printer. You can't get anything like this, of course, right? So it's depend on the type of model you're using. If you're doing something very high resolution, then I would say definitely go with the resin printer. But the problem with the resin printer, it is slow. Like for example, this model here takes 4 hours, whereas these two took about an hour and 20 minutes. So you can see it's like 3 times longer, but then the precision on the resin printer is much better. In the future, I will give you my take on which one is better to use. We'll talk about that later. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.